Ever since the secret 5th clan, Sky Clan, was introduced in Firestar's Quest back in 2007, Warrior Cats has always had the same group of clans. But now, everything has changed. Because in Ivypool's heart, we finally have a brand new clan. One from the past that has been forgotten by every cat in the modern clans, and even StarClan has forgotten. For those of you who haven't read Ivypool's Heart yet, I got you covered. The story goes like this. At some point in between Dawn of the Clans and the Prophecies Begin, there lived 2 clan leaders who went by the names of Galestar and Stripestar. Galestar being the leader of Wind Clan, and Stripestar being the leader of Thunder Clan. These 2 cats were one of the oldest examples of a forbidden romance between 2 clans, and rather than break the code or switch clans, they decided that as 2 powerful leaders, they would just make a loophole in the rules by combining their clans into one, StormClan. StormClan is the brand new clan. The logo I'm showing here is not the official logo. There is no official logo at this time, but what's interesting is that unlike all the other clans, StormClan having a symbol is canon within the Warrior Cats universe. It is said to be a cloud split by lightning with vines coming out of it. The cats made this logo and draw it in the ground. The meaning in the lore is that the cloud represents Wind Clan, the lightning Thunder Clan, and the vines show that they are bound together. So what I have here is just my interpretation of the logo, made with a little help from Daco. In the middle of my design, I made the lightning bolt blue and yellow from my Wind and Thunder Clan logos to emphasize that they are what makes up StormClan. So what happened to StormClan? Well, there were prey shortages due to 2 legs. In a turn of events very similar to Sky Clan's story, StormClan ended up breaking off the main clans in search of a new home because the other clans blamed them for the shortages. It was a long and painful journey, and many cats just decided to leave StormClan and go back to the forest. These leaving cats went on to reform ThunderClan and Wind Clan. That's how those 2 clans still exist. As for the remaining StormClan cats, not much came of them. There exists no modern StormClan. On one fateful day, there was a bad storm, and Galestar and her kits were separated from the rest of StormClan and trapped in a rock crevice. Stripestar couldn't afford to look for them because he had the rest of the clan to look after, and by the time the storm cleared, he had assumed Galestar and the kits were dead. Afterwards, we don't really know the full story of what happened to Stripestar and the remaining StormClan cats, but this was all ancient history, so eventually they were all dead and forgotten. Being forgotten, their spirits faded, no longer walking in StarClan, and they became nature spirits, described by Stripestar as being everywhere, part of the wind, the grass, the trees, everything. Not watching over the living cats, but being aware of them, and that it was a wonderful feeling. This is quite a big reveal for Warrior Cats lore, as this is the first time they explain what happens to faded spirits, beyond them just being gone. But the StormClan cats wouldn't stay faded because Ivypool and the other questing cats were successful in returning their memory, so now they are in StarClan. Meanwhile, Galestar. She of course is also dead, but she didn't die in the storm. She was saved by wildcats. What are wildcats? Well, they're not the same species as domestic cats, but they are a very close relative genetically. The genus that cats are in is called Felis, and out of the 7 species in that genus, domestic cats are one of them, and European wildcat and African wildcat are 2 others. Now my assumption is that they are intended to be European wildcats, because the writing team is based in the UK, so they are more likely to take inspiration from their home country. The wildcats could be a subspecies of European wildcat that lives in the UK, called Scottish wildcats. Scottish wildcats are endangered, which would make sense within Ivypool's heart, as the animals are being smuggled by an exotic animal collector, and they seem to be small in number overall. In comparison to domestic cats, wildcats are bigger, but not dramatically bigger. They're more muscular, their pelt colors are much more similar to each other, all looking like tabby cats, but for the most part, they are just cats without the domestication. So Galestar joins the wildcats group, and lives her life as one of them, even becoming mates with a wildcat and having hybrid kits. Fast forward to modern day, Ivypool and the other cats on the quest find Stockpert and Tumbleleap, and bring them back to the Wildcat group that still exists and honors Galestar as an ancestor. And Galestar's spirit is who tells them the story of StormClan. So the story of StormClan essentially split into two halves, one that was forgotten with Stripestar, and one that lives on in the Wildcats with Galestar. There was a very long exposition dump in Chapter 18 of Ivypool's Heart. This book's explanation of StormClan does not leave much up to the imagination, so there's hardly much I can theorize on, but I think one thing is certain, that the Warrior Cats team has bigger plans for the story of StormClan. Let's rewind back to 2023, when the Warrior Cats team first revealed they were working on Super Editions 17 and 18. Super Edition 17 became Ivypool's Heart, and between this article and the content in this Super Edition, we know there's only two possibilities as to what Super Edition 18 will be about. The article specifically says that Ivypool's Heart sets the stage for Super Edition 18, and that it will be a step away from the arc-based stories. Considering the 5 clan cats finished their questing business, and all of them, especially Icewing, are in a rush to get home, their stories are clearly not a separation from the main arcs. They're probably going to get back to the clans before even the conclusion of Arc 8. So for Super Edition 18, we are either getting A Wildcat Super Edition revolving around the lives of Wildcats, as Stockpert brings her new kits into the group, or B, a StormClan Super Edition revolving around the lives of Galestar and Stripestar. Heck, we may eventually get both, but I'm going to guess, between the two, the StormClan Super Edition will come first, because in the same article, under a different topic, they express excitement about putting a story in the gap between Dawn of the Clans and The Prophecies Begin, and the story of StormClan is exactly that. It could work very well as a dual POV book, with Galestar and Stripestar going separate ways at the end. And it would also include the Wildcats, so you get the story of StormClan and the Wildcats, as opposed to only getting Wildcats. Between the events of a 2-liter forbidden romance, a completely new clan being revealed, and a new feline species being introduced into the lore, with their own unique spirit system, it's all adding up to be the perfect sales pitch for their next Super Edition. And right as I finished recording audio for this video, they dropped an article on their website that was basically repeating this, and outwardly hinting that the StormClan era of warriors would be explored in the near future, and then directly saying it was a hint. So, not a hint, they're just telling us. The next Super Edition is gonna involve StormClan. My one small criticism about the way they handled StormClan is that I do think they're telling too much. You can tell the story team is excited about the idea, but unfortunately they got so excited that they rushed it out a little, and spoiled a lot of the mystery surrounding the clan that could have been crazy reveals had they come in Super Edition 18. But instead we had them delivered in Chapter 18 of Ivypool's Heart. It kind of felt like the writing team's boardroom meeting was adapted into a Warrior Cats chapter, because Galestar sure had a lot to say. But again, it's just a small criticism. I think overall StormClan will be a positive. Personally, I'm thrilled to finally be getting some new characters. Super Editions such as Leopardstar's Honor and Riverstar's Home had way too much retreading of existing books for my taste, so having a whole new setting, whether that be with StormClan or the Wildcats, is super exciting. I'm looking forward to covering whatever the Warrior Cats team has planned. Now there is another major topic I need to cover in Ivypool's Heart. You know, one that actually has to do with Ivypool, but that will be for next week's video. Alright, bye everyone.